Kabir, congratulations on your new film, Fallaway.
Oh, thank you very much.
These type of dramas, it's very touching, emotional, and very in the moment of what's going on today. But let's ask that obligatory question: where the original idea came from for Fallaway?
Yeah, well, I think it started because, I'd been doing bit parts and, supporting roles and things, and I'd been working on a lot of shorts. And so part of it started basically as a challenge to see if I would be able to carry a film. And so it started there, and I think the topic is just so deeply personal to me. And, they always say, write what you know. And so it really started by just journaling, not even trying to put it on a page as a script, and then just sorting out all of my notes and, creating this character and this story. And the more I worked on it, the more it became clear that it was something that I was deeply, deeply passionate about, not only as an actor, but also as a writer.
So, which character did you relate to the most? Are you talking about Giovanni or Caden?
I mean, because I wrote it, I think there's some of me in every character in the film. Um, because it's all a reflection of me and how I see the world and my perspective on things. But I would say Caden and Giovanni, it's kind of a tie. I see a lot of myself in both of them.
Well said. Well, let's talk about some of the themes that you presented in Followays. Talk about the theme of like a friendship and the sense of belonging. Because when I was watching it, I feel like the characters are trying to find, I want to say, their place in the world.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think with the rise of, Zoom and social media, loneliness is a huge problem right now. Um, even though we have all these tools that are really meant to connect us all around the world, in many ways we are very, very disconnected and, all in our own world, in our own bubble, in our own echo chamber. So, and I've definitely experienced that personally. So, to me, loneliness, especially male loneliness, felt like something that I could cover in a very personal way. And, you're right. Caden and Giovanni are both looking for connection. I think a lot of people in the story are. Um, and so I think, I guess, really developing that closeness between the two of them and the dialogue was a huge aspect of creating the story as a whole. And I think for me, one of the temptations that I had to avoid when writing the story was leaning so hard into the romance that you lose the deep friendship that Caden and Giovanni have, and also the deep friendship that Giovanni and Houston had. So, that was absolutely huge and something that I really had to work hard to make sure that the friendship was at the center of the story. And as you said, these two people who are looking for belonging and for their place.
Absolutely, and that's how the world is today for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Another thing that you also circled around in this is LGBTQ identity and basically whether you could come to an acceptance of the of those terms and others on how they accept you. Can you talk about putting that theme into the film too?
Yes, I mean, it had always been a really personal subject to me from a young age because I was adopted at birth and I have two dads. And so to me, even as early as 3 or 4, I would have a lot of commentary from peers and teachers about how I didn't have a mom and just really inappropriate questioning. I remember there was one teacher who I will not name who asked in front of the class, which of your dads had you? Like implying one of them was trans or really a woman, and it's so, so inappropriate. And so to me, I've just experienced how isolating it could be when you're not in a loving environment, just growing up, because I was always the kid with two dads first and Kabir second. And in many ways, I think Caden's a little more looked after by his family, but definitely with Giovanni, I think there's definitely this attitude around him that, he's the gay one first. He's the one who sinned with Houston, and he's all of those things before he is Giovanni, which I think is incredibly isolating, and I think really capturing that was incredibly important to me.
Of course, this all leads to the adversary in your film, which is this church group, the idea of religion. Tell us about crafting them into your film and having them putting a wedge into either gay identity and friendships that your characters are going through.
Yeah, I mean, it was always important to me. I did not want Fallaway to be an indictment on religion as a whole, because Prosper really functions in a very controlling way beyond what is normal for most religious groups. And so I want to be very clear about that, that I'm not making a commentary on Christianity or on organized religion as a whole. It's really about cults specifically and these overly controlling groups and, conversion therapy. That's really what I'm making a commentary on. And not to say that anyone in the church is doing the right thing, but they are really approaching it from the standpoint of wanting to do right by the people in that group, wanting to make sure everyone makes it to heaven. So, it was a really difficult balance for me to, on one hand, obviously not endorse what they're doing. It's been proven time and time again that conversion therapy does not work. And really hope no one walks away from this film thinking that you can turn a gay person straight. That's not the message of this movie. But I think so many movies have these cartoony villains, and these people aren't just walking around looking to torture somebody. They think they're doing the right thing, and they're going about it in a really, really wrong and harmful and toxic way.
But doesn't this translate into basically the pressures of like society acceptance and
Horrible.
yeah.
It's horrible. It's really, really isolating, and I think through Giovanni's character, I think Giovanni's really an expression of what Caden is destined to become if he stays in that group. And, with Giovanni, it's like the leeway that he's given to just be who he is becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until it, essentially just becomes a crushing pressure in his life. And so I really hope that people who watch it will see the very adverse effects of this. And, even if they don't like it, or, that they'll approach the queer youth in their life with love and from a place of understanding, even if it's not the norm for them.
Well said. Now, I do have a question of the why did you base this story in San Francisco? Because San Francisco is one of the most open cities in the United States when it comes to gay identity.
Absolutely. I mean, I went to college in San Francisco, and I had seen, various groups roaming around. So, yes, San Francisco is generally considered to be very open. And these groups don't only exist in the more religious conservative states, they are everywhere. And to me, having grown up in San Francisco, San Francisco is what I know. And I feel like that's the story that I know how to tell.
Great. And talk about your production. How long did it take, and how many days of shooting did you actually take for this, and why? I want to say it's not a short film, but it's I want to say it's almost an hour long. So to some people, it's basically between a short film and like a really long narrative film in this case.
I've gotten, yeah, like featurette, short feature, mid-length. Um, but yeah, it wasn't intentional. It just is how it is. I definitely didn't want to edit the film to, for length. I think that's a really surefire way to mess up the project. And so I I really tried to just approach it from the standpoint of telling a story that felt honest and, allowing the movie to be whatever it would be in terms of how long. And to answer your first question, it took 14 days of filming.
Well said. And as audiences everywhere have a chance to watch Fallaway, what is the one most important take you hope they walk away with?
For queer youth and youth in general, be yourself. And for parents and teachers and people with queer youth in their family or their classrooms, to just listen to understand. You don't have to you don't have to get it right away. I think that's an unreasonable expectation. But I think as long as you approach them with love and humanity. I think that's the most important thing.
Very, very well said. That is very important, Kabir. Thank you very much for speaking to us about Fallaway.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you.